Hi, in this video, we are going to look at the select and omit criteria in logical files on AS400. Now, we are going to also cover multiple select and omit criteria together, something which looks like this, where I have select, and one which does not have any select or omit, it is blank. So we are going to explain what is the meaning of having multiple select and omit criteria together. What is the meaning of having a blank over here? How does this work? And how can you have multiple select and omit criteria in your logical file? So let's begin. So our first point is, what is comp keyword? And what is the difference between comp and CMP? But before that, let's also look at what is select omit in a logical file. Now, we will reiterate that a logical file is nothing but a view. If you compare it with your Microsoft SQL, MySQL, or other databases, an LF is just a view. A view does not hold the actual data. A view will only allow you to look at the data in a particular way. A view does not occupy disk space or memory space in your on your hard drive. So a view is only logical. A physical file actually holds the data. Logical file is only a view of that physical file. A select omit criteria allows you to select or omit specific records of the physical file and only have only those records that you want in your logical file. So if you look at a single select condition and ignore the last two, you will see that the first select condition says, so the S means select. Also, this is a DDS of the logical file, and the name of the logical file is company LF, and the name of the physical file on which it has been created is company. Okay, so let's look at the physical file once. So if you look at the physical file, it has this data. It has multiple column and rows, or as we call it in AS400, rows. I mean fields and records. NYSE is the field. So I've just created a list of companies on the New York Stock Exchange. So NYSE is one of the field. So we have created this logical view on the physical file where the select criteria we have specified is that the NYSE ID should be less than 603. So the CMP keyword allows you to have a comparative or a comparison operator. It is a keyword which allows you to have these functions less than, equal to, greater than. In fact, there are a lot of these valid keywords. If you go to the IBM documentation, you'll see that you have a lot of valid operators. You have less than, greater than, equal to, not less than, not greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So this is like your SQL statement or your SQL query where you can specify a where condition, and in front of the where condition you write that my column name is less than some value or column name is greater than some value. So like that you can have a operator. So instead of the less than sign or a greater than sign, you have these keywords in the DDS structure that you can create for your logical file. So if you look at this example, only the first select condition, the New York Stock Exchange identification field, NYSE ID, less than 603. So only those records where the ID, NYSE ID is less than 603 are to be selected from the physical file. Okay. So that is what the CMP operator is. It allows you to have these conditions, which we saw in the IBM documentation. So once we have covered COMP, also COMP and CMP are the same. if you refer to the IBM documentation, it will tell you that COMP keyword is equivalent to CMP keyword, and CMP here also it says that is equivalent to COMP. So CMP and COMP is one and the same. You can use any of them as you want. So second point is when and where to use it. So we saw in the example, you can use it in the select omit criteria that you specify in the logical file. You can have multiple select omit criteria at one time. We will see how that actually works out later on, but it is used at the time of creating a logical file. It is also used in front of the field names. So you can also write CMP here, but that is not for select and omit criteria. The IBM documentation tells you in its examples that the COMP is used in front of the field names, which are directly declared. But this has to do with the screen display and which fields are to be shown on the screen and which fields are to be ignored from the screen and so on. This is not related to our current topic of select and omit. So let's ignore this for now. So where it can be used at multiple places. But select and omit is what its current use is, what we are focusing on. Okay. So example of COMP usage. We have already seen the example where the NYSE ID is less than 603 and only those records are selected. We can try to test it once. So what I'll do is I will delete the last two rows from my logical file. I'll recompile the logical file and then let's see what happens. So I've kept only one select criteria where we are comparing NYSE ID to less than 603. We'll compile it with 14 option. If you look at the message, if you page down, it says that the company LF is created successfully. Now, if you do a query on company LF, you'll see that NYSE ID less than or equal to 603 is visible. Let's look at our source code. What source code we wrote for the logical file? Yeah, we have written LE, and LE is less than or equal to 603. So less than or equal to will also have 603 in it. So everything less than or equal to 603, it has picked up. If you look into our original physical file, you'll see that 604 and 605 records are also present, but they are not visible in the logical file. So we have seen an example of COMP usage. We'll also look at range and values that we can use with select and omit. So let's just try to do that quickly. So what is range? Range will allow you to select specific set. It will allow you to select all those values which are from and to. So if you type in range 602 and 604. So this means that anything from 602, I think until before than 604, you are allowed to select. So when you type range, it is from and this is to. So let's compile it and see what happens. We'll have to close. Yeah, we have already closed the logical file. Let's compile it once. And let's look at the output of the logical file. So this is the physical file. If you look at the logical file, company LF, we'll see that it has selected 602, 603 to 604. So our source code was from 602 to 604. So it is inclusive of both from and to. It did not show 605 and it did not select 601 or 600. It selected all the records including and in between 602 and 604. Okay. Now another keyword which can be used is values. Values keyword allows you to specify specific values. So if you type in values, and if I type 601, 603, 605, so I've selected alternate values here. So only the values which match the value specified in the values keyword, that's a mouthful. So only those values will be selected in the output of the logical file. We'll have to close the logical file every time we have to compile. So now we have compiled it successfully. Let's look at the output again of the logical file. Yeah, so only 601, 603 and 605, whatever we had, the values we had in our source code, only those are selected. Okay, so we have covered range and value. Okay, now comes the difficult and fun part, where you have multiple select and omit criteria together. So let's try to have multiple select and omit criteria together and see how it works out. So I'll just modify my logical file and I'll just have another select criteria on the same field, or I can also have a different field, but to keep it simple, we'll keep on the same field for now. So what do you want to have? We'll have a CMP where we are comparing the equality operator, and we are when we are doing an equal to, we can do it to 600, let's say. So now we have two select criteria. One is NYC ID in 601, 3 and 5, and NYC ID is equal to 600. What output do you expect when you have two different select omit criteria? Would it be combined with an AND operation, or would it be combined with an OR operation? Let's find out. So we are compiling and let's look at the output. Okay, so what do we see? We see 600 also, and we see the values which we had in the function of values, 601, 3 and 5. So what does this mean? Is it AND or is it OR? Since it has given out both the outputs, including 600 as well as the values which we had in the range, not in the range, I'm sorry, in the values function of 601, 3 and 5. It means that these both are connected by default with an OR operation. So this is equal to me writing select all these values, select values where this matches, or where it is 600. So it has given me everything. That is what you would get with a OR condition in the where clause of an SQL statement. Now let us try something fun, where we would just remove this select condition from here. Now what will happen? Let's find out. So let's compile it and get the output again. You see the result is blank. Why is the result blank? It's because when you do not write a select or omit keyword over there, it combines these conditions with an AND operation. So when it is combined with the AND operation, there is no common value in between these two conditions. One checks where the values are equal to 601, 3 and 5, and another checks where the value is 600. You cannot have you do not have a common in between these two. So you're basically saying that the select all the rows which are having value 601, 603, 605, and also select value which is of 600. So with a logical AND operation, it is not going to give you any output because both are exclusive. The result of both is exclusive. Let's try to change it to 601 and see what happens. So now what we are saying is, in the first select, we are saying that you select either 601, 600, 605, or in the second one, we are saying and select 601. So 601 is common between these two. Now let's compile and see what do we get. We have to close the logical file every time we compile. Let's look at the output. I'm sorry, the switching is a little bit slow. I should have opened two different sessions. Okay, so when you look at the output now, it only gives you 601 because 601 is the common one in between both, and now logical AND operation is being used with it. So we'll understand this more easily when we compare it with the SQL statements. When we have understanding of multiple select and omits, and if we compare it with an actual SQL statement, we'll understand it more easily. So let's do it now. Okay, so let's understand this. When you create a logical file, and when you're writing a select, and you have a field name like NYSE ID, and you have a condition in front of it like compare, and then you have an equality operator to 601. In another line, you have a select condition where we have a NYSE ID, and we have a range operation over it where we are selecting 601, 602, 603. So what happens when you do not write S over here like we did in our example? Both these conditions get combined with a AND operator. So how does it look like? How would a SQL query look like if you have to write? So it would be select star from the logical file or the physical file, because I'm actually creating a logical file. So its equivalent is going to be select star from the physical file, where NYSE ID in 601, 602, 603, and NYSE ID equal to 601. So it is much easier to understand it this way, isn't it? What will be the output of this? The output of this is going to be only one record, which is 601, because this will supersede your another condition which you have, because it will only give out records with NYSE ID 601 because of the logical AND operation. Now, when we write another S over here, we do not keep it blank as we did in the previous example. It becomes a OR operator. So now this query becomes select star from the physical file where NYSE ID in 601, 2, 3, or NYSE ID equal to 601. So it's going to bring out all the values which match. It will bring out all the three, 601, 602, 603. In our original example, we had it 600. So it gave us 4 values in the output. Right. Now let us make it a little bit more complex. Now what if I have another select statement over here? So we will have a omit condition to make it even more complex and even more fun to do it. So let's add a omit condition where we will check another field. Let's say we'll check year in it. So year in it, and we'll compare, and we'll write not equal to let's see what values we currently have. So currently we only have one value. You cannot do much with it. So let's modify it a little bit. So what are we having over here is 601 and 601. So that is a problem. We will have a range of values instead. That will give us a larger data set. So we are going to select everything from 601 to 603. So now with the AND condition in between, what is the output going to be? The output is going to be 601 and 603 only. Even though with range you have 602 in between, but that 602 is not present in the above condition. So it is going to be only 601 and 603 in the output. Now we are adding another condition where year in it. Let's look at the physical file that we have, so we get a proper view of it. So year in it has years. So we have 2020, 2021, and so on. So we are going to Ideally, with the first two select omit conditions, we're going to get 601 and 603 records. So both of them, one of it is 2020 and another one is 2021. So I'm going to write not equal to 2021. So in the output, I'm expecting Microsoft Corporation. Let's see what we get. I'll explain what this means in detail after we are done with compilation and execution. So now let's look at the logical file. Oh, so we got all of these. Why? My expectation was wrong. My assumption was wrong. So why are we getting all the 4 values? Let's try to understand. So what code did we write? We'll copy it in Word and see. So we have NYSE ID and we have values now. So this is values 601, 603 and 605. Then we don't have any alphabet over here. We don't have a select, we don't have an omit, and we have an NYSE ID where we have a range on it now. The range is 601, 603. Then we have another line where we have an omit condition where year in it is getting compared to not equal to 2021. Okay, so this is what is there in our code, and what we got in our output is we got all of these values. Now let's try to convert this. Now let's try to convert this into an SQL query and see what we get. So if I have to write this in an SQL query, what I will write, the meaning of this will be equivalent to select star from the physical file where NYSE ID, so values. So by values, it is going to be 601, 3 and 5, and only those values. So in is the correct thing to use. So 601, 603, 605. Then we do not have a select omit operator. So this is going to be and we have a range 601 to 603. So writing range in SQL will be equal to writing in between 601 and 603. Now I'm not sure whether this is inclusive or exclusive in DB2SQL. We'll have to figure that out, but let's just assume that it is inclusive as it is there in the logical file for now. So this is what our first two statements mean, that NYSE ID is in these 3 values and NYSE ID is in between 603 and 601 and 603. So this covers first 2 lines. Now for the last line, how do we combine these together? So whenever we have a value, either select or omit over here, we are going to have a OR condition with us. So it is now going to be OR year in it is not equal to 2021. So this is our SQL query. And you know, when you have multiple ANDs and ORs together, you don't leave them like they are. You have to write brackets. So AND is going to get executed first. So AND conditions will be in bracket, OR will be separate. So this is how it is going to execute this is going to be the meaning of the logical file conditions that we have. Now, what's the meaning? Let's understand. So what it is going to do is, it is going to first let's evaluate this bracket. So what it means is, let me reduce the font size a little bit so I'll be able to write more in less space. Where is my font? Yeah, here. So what this means is, evaluating first bracket, NYSE ID in 601, 603, 605. So first it will select 601, 603 and 605 records. Okay, there is an AND condition which says in between 601 and 603. So in between 601 and 603 are going to be only these records. So 605 is going to get removed. And because it is an AND condition, the 602 which was there in between this is going to get ignored because it is not part of the first condition, which is the in condition. Okay, so we are going to remove the 605 because it is not there in the second condition, and second condition is an AND condition joined with an AND operator. So both of them have the precedence and the way to go ahead. So with the first condition evaluated, we have only 601 and 603 as the NYC IDs. So we should have had only 2 records, but we also have a OR condition. Now OR condition says that the year in it is not equal to 2021. So which NYC IDs have year not 2021? Let's look at our physical file. So 2021 and not 2021 is going to be 2020. So 2020 is in 3 records, which is 601, 602, 604. So 1, 2, and 4. Let's write that down. 601, 602, 604. And now we have a OR condition to execute. So, with OR, you get all the values, and common ones are not repeated. So the output is going to be 601, 602, 603, 604. So OR is just going to list down all the values that we have without repeating them. So we are going to get 4 records. Let's see how many records we got in the logical file. We got 4 records. Which of them did we get? We got 600, 601, 603, and 605. Okay, so something is wrong. I have not done something correct. Let's see why it is like this. Oh, it is like that because we have written a omit condition. So omit means do not select those records. So we have done even more complex thing. We have done a double negation. So with this not equal to 2021, we are omitting. So when we are omitting not equal to 2021, what do we have? We have 2020 or all those records which are not 2021. And in our physical file, we know we have only those records which are either 2021 or 2020. So let's look at the physical file again, 2021 and 2020. So we are omitting not equal to 2021. I'm sorry, let me get that again. Not equal to 2021, we are omitting. Okay. So not equal to 2021 is 2020, and 2020 we are omitting. So if we omit 2020, what we are going to end up having is 2021 records. So let's fix our logic. So this is not going to be or not equal to 2021. We are even negating it. So it is actually going to be year in it is equal to 2021. Or I wish I could write an exclamation ahead to negate it completely and write it as it is, but I don't think this is going to work in SQL. So I'll make it simple and I'll apply the double negation of omit and not equal to make year in it equal to 2021. So which NYC IDs have year in it as 2021? It is 600. Then you have 603. And then we have 605. When we combine all these and take common ones, which ones do we have? We have 600, then we have 601, we have 603 and 605. So these are the records we should be getting in our logical file. Let's see. This is not the logical file again. Yeah, this logical file. So we got 600, 1, 600, 601, 603, and 605. So this is the meaning of our select and omit in terms of SQL. So I understand it was a little bit complicated for me to even explain and for me to understand it myself. Explaining it becomes even more difficult. So the next point, what does the IBM documentation say? Well, we have seen the IBM documentation. It has even more things which you can read on the IBM documentation. It specifies some rules that for comparing numbers, you should not write quotes like how we did in our select omit. For comparing numbers, we do not write quotes. For comparing an alphanumeric or character field, we should be writing quotes. Date format should be in the correct format, timestamp format, time format, null can also be used, and so on. Other things are specified in the IBM documentation. And yeah, that's the point. Demonstration of using multiple comp keywords in the same LF. Yeah, so we did demonstrate with multiple comp or CMP, whatever you want to call them, within the same logical file. We have also demonstrated with multiple range and values keywords in the logical file. So I guess that covers all the topics that we had for today with select omit, and I think it also covers the entire select and omit topic. If anything is left with select and omit, do let me know for logical files in AS400. Otherwise, that is all for today. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.